She said, "I need a break to find myself." I said, "Take all the time you need." Then she blocked me and moved in with her ex. 2 months later, she unblocked me just in time to see me holding hands in Paris with someone she knew. When she told me, "I need a break to figure out what I really want," I didn't argue. No begging, no guilt trips, just a calm, "Take all the time you need." That seemed to confuse her more than if I'd shouted. She kept looking at me like she expected me to fight for her, to chase, to plead, to promise I'd wait. But I didn't. I just nodded, paid for dinner, and drove her home in silence. For the first time in years, I felt something that wasn't sadness, it was clarity. A week later, she blocked me. Everywhere. Instagram, WhatsApp, even Venmo, which made me laugh. Then came the healing posts. You know the type, black and white selfies with captions like, "Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find peace," or "Energy speaks louder than words." It didn't take long before mutual friends mentioned she was staying at her ex's place. Apparently, her healing involved wine nights, old songs, and a guy who used to cheat on her with the barista at Starbucks. Classic. Did it hurt? Of course. But instead of spiraling, I focused on myself, the gym, work, and the trip I'd been postponing for years. Paris. I'd always wanted to go, but she hated traveling. Too stressful, she'd say. So I went. Alone. Or at least that was the plan. 2 months later, while I was booking the flight, my coworker and friend, Claire, saw the open tab. "Paris? Alone?" She laughed. "That's criminal. You need a partner in crime." We'd always had chemistry, but never crossed the line, not while I was taken. She had this quiet confidence, the kind that didn't need to post quotes about vibes to prove she was healing. We booked 2 tickets. Paris was perfect. Rainy mornings, endless walks, and laughter that felt easy, like breathing. We took a picture holding hands in front of the Eiffel Tower. I didn't even plan to post it. But when Claire said, "Come on, you deserve to show people you're happy," I thought, why not? That's when it happened. 2 hours after I posted it, she unblocked me. Then came the flood, messages, missed calls, even emails with subject lines like, "Please just talk to me," and "I made a mistake." But the one that really caught me off guard wasn't from her. It was from someone else, someone who saw the photo, recognized Claire, and decided it was time I knew everything. The email came around midnight, Paris time. The sender's name was Liam, and the subject line was, "You should know who she's been talking to." At first, I thought it was spam. Then I saw the first line. "Hey man, I don't know you personally, but I know your girlfriend, or I guess ex-girlfriend, pretty well. I used to work with her." My stomach sank. The email went on. "I don't want drama, but I saw your post from Paris. You probably think she just realized what she lost. But she's been reaching out to me for weeks, trying to find out who you're dating. She told me she wanted to warn your new girlfriend about the kind of person you are. Said you're manipulative and controlling." I didn't buy it. She told a similar story about her ex before you. Just figured you should know she's trying to spin something. I stared at the screen, feeling that strange, detached calm, like when you realize a fire alarm's been going off for a while, and you just hadn't noticed the smoke. The next morning, while Claire was getting coffee, I checked my old email, the one my ex didn't know about. There were several automated messages. Password reset requested for Facebook. Login attempt from new device. Verification code sent. She was trying to get into my accounts. That was the moment the nostalgia burned away completely. Whatever we'd had, good or bad, was over. What was left wasn't heartbreak, it was cleanup. When we got back home, I went quiet for a while. Not because I was sad, but because I was watching how easily peace could be disrupted by someone who didn't know how to let go. And she didn't stop. A few days later, she texted me again, long paragraphs about closure and unfinished conversations. I didn't reply. Then came the messages to my family. She wrote to my sister, saying I'd emotionally abandoned her during the relationship. She even DM'd Claire's company Instagram, claiming inappropriate conduct between employees. I had receipts, screenshots, timestamps, even the HR-approved travel form that showed we'd taken personal time off separately. Nothing was unethical. So I did something that changed everything. I forwarded her messages to my lawyer. No threats, no warnings, just documentation. If she wanted to turn this into a story, I'd make sure the truth was neatly archived in triplicate. For a few weeks, it went quiet again. Then, one Sunday morning, I got a message from an unknown number. You destroyed my life. I just wanted to talk. You didn't have to ruin me. It was her. Apparently, after trying to dig up dirt on me, she'd been caught. Her company's IT department found she'd been using work resources to access my social media. She was fired. Not because I demanded it, because she crossed a line. And yet, somehow, in her mind, I was the villain. The irony was painful. I didn't want revenge. I didn't even want her punished. I just wanted peace, the one thing she refused to grant. Claire and I didn't talk much about it after that. She'd see me staring at my phone sometimes, unread messages lighting the screen, and she'd just say softly, "Don't let her take more of your time." And that became something of a mantra for me. I stopped checking her socials, stopped wondering what she was posting, stopped trying to understand how someone could twist love into a weapon. Months passed, work got busier, and life started to feel solid again. Real. Then one evening, my sister sent me a screenshot. My ex had posted another quote. Some people never realize what they destroyed until it's too late. For once, she was right. She just didn't realize she was the one she was talking about. Update 1.it had been almost 6 months since Paris. By then, Claire and I had moved in together. Not because of some grand romantic gesture, but because it just made sense. We were stable, easy, predictable in the best way. I was cooking dinner when my phone buzzed, an unknown number again. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just need you to hear me. I almost ignored it. But something about the phrasing, too measured, too deliberate, made me stop. It was her. I stared at the message for a while, then replied, "I don't think that's a good idea." She wrote back almost instantly, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm in therapy." I realized how toxic I was. I've been replaying everything in my head, and I just needed to say sorry. It's strange how a few words can scrape against an old scar and make it sting again. I didn't respond. But that night, I didn't sleep well. 2 days later, another message. "Can I call you? Please. Just 5 minutes." I showed it to Claire. She didn't say much, just looked at me and said, "Do what feels right. Just remember who you're talking to." So I picked up when she called. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Calm. Too calm. She talked about accountability, about how she'd confused self-discovery with selfishness. She admitted to hacking my accounts, said she wasn't in a good place. She told me she got fired, moved back in with her parents, and was trying to rebuild her life. Then she said something that made my hand freeze on the phone. I saw the Paris pictures again. I didn't realize it back then, but I think I was just jealous of how happy you looked. You looked free. That word, free, stuck, because that's exactly what it felt like. She asked if I was happy. I said yes. She went quiet for a long time, then whispered, "I'm glad. I really am. You deserved better than me." And then, almost too quickly, "But maybe one day, if things change, maybe we could talk again." There it was. The real reason. The therapy, the accountability, the apology, all scaffolding around the same foundation. She still couldn't stand that I'd moved on without her. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "I wish you the best. But there's nothing to go back to." Before she could answer, I hung up. That night, I blocked her again, for good this time. A week later, I got another email. Not from her mother. It was polite, but guilt-heavy. She's not doing well emotionally. Maybe a few kind words would help her heal. "You've always been such a good influence." I didn't reply, because here's what people never tell you. Closure doesn't come from talking things through. It comes from deciding you don't owe anyone your peace, not even the person who broke it in the first place. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about that call sometimes. Her voice trembling, pretending to be fine, searching for some soft place to land. And maybe in another life, if she'd truly changed, if we'd met at a different time, things could have been different. But not this time. Not this version of us. Final update. Almost a year passed after that last call. By then, life had become simple again. I'd moved into a new apartment with Claire, changed my number, and learned how peaceful silence can be when no one is trying to manipulate it. I rarely thought about my ex anymore. Occasionally her name would pop up in an old group chat or someone would mention her in passing, but she'd become more of a memory than a person, like a photograph I didn't need to keep but didn't feel the urge to delete either. Until one day in spring. It was a Friday afternoon, and Claire and I were walking through a small art gallery downtown. One of those quiet places with overpriced espresso and minimalistic paintings that you're not sure you understand but pretend to. I was halfway through a cappuccino when I saw her. Across the room. She looked different. Thinner, maybe. Hair shorter, posture smaller. She was standing near a wall display, holding a brochure and talking to someone who looked vaguely familiar. Her old coworker. Maybe. For a second, our eyes met. No dramatic gasp, no cinematic music. Just recognition, and something like embarrassment in her face. She froze, then looked down. I nodded once. Just a quiet, polite acknowledgement. And walked past her. I didn't feel anger. Not satisfaction either. Just closure, the kind that doesn't come from words, but from seeing someone you once loved become a stranger. Later that evening, when Claire and I got home, I checked my email, something I almost never do on Fridays. There was one unread message. From a different address, but the name was unmistakable. I saw you today. You looked happy. I'm glad. I don't expect a reply. I just wanted you to know I finally understand what you meant when you said, peace isn't about being right. Take care of yourself. That was it. No manipulation, no hidden agenda, no attempt to reopen anything. Just words. Plain and human. I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, just because there was nothing left to say. I archived the email, closed my laptop, and went to join Claire on the balcony. She was drinking wine, watching the city lights flicker through the dusk. She smiled when I sat beside her, leaned her head against my shoulder, and said, "You look lighter tonight." And maybe I was. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come with fireworks or perfect justice. Sometimes it's just a quiet evening, a soft laugh, and the realization that the person you used to be, the one who tolerated lies, confusion, and emotional chaos, doesn't exist anymore. That night, as Paris photos flashed on our digital frame, the Eiffel Tower, our hands, that first ridiculous selfie, I caught myself smiling. Not because I'd won, but because I finally stopped keeping score. And in that silence, I realized something she never did. Love isn't about being needed. It's about being free and finding someone who doesn't take that away from you.